you well. Yeah, I do you well. I do you well.
Good morning, Labour Roots, and good morning to all of the comebacks watching from the far you page. Welcome to another episode of Political Hard Talk. I am your host, none other than the greatest Labourite alive. Now guys, this man we're going to talk about what is PNPism. See, in my own opinion, I'm going to tell you in my monologue what is PNPism. See, but before we go any further, see, without any further ado, let me just roll out the shout out them. Big up my people them over YouTube. See, I learn one and two people name, but I soon can call everybody by name over YouTube, just like over TikTok. See? So big up Father Dark Night, top gifter this morning. Big old dirty thinking subscriber. Big up yourself. You know. Jennifer Jones in a second place. Good morning. I know see my next subscriber Kizzy. Rickster yet. You know. DJ Chromas, big up yourself. Father Daddy Strength, big up yourself in a elder. King T44, big up yourself. Sexy GG, big up yourself. Forever Bless Natalie. Mother Philippian, big up yourself. And Peter McDonald, I see you. Big up yourself. Good morning, Alorin, Alicia. Big up yourself. Seeing anybody when I hear their names afar, I not soon in my list. So big up on yourself. Finally, we're up on a good signal. Father Rickster just pop up, big up yourself. Father Rickster. So, we all go in what PNPism is this morning. In my own opinion, I'm sure. Man, I'm a boss. I'm sure in everybody else's opinion, them can probably state what PNPism is to them. Now, in my own opinion, you know, PNPism is destitution, prostitution, poverty, degradation, segregation, and any kind of disturbing word you can think of. That is what PNPism is. PNP persons and the people that support the People's National Party, I beg your pardon, the People's National Criminal Organization. So the people that is affiliated to that party, they seems to be okay with being at one level in life. They do not want to elevate themselves. Is it that they do not want to elevate themselves or they can't elevate themselves? And I am leaning towards them don't wanting to elevate themselves. The masses of the People's National Criminal Organization supporters, they like to remain in one place. They do not like changes. And this is why they do not like Andrew Holness. All of a sudden, Andrew Holness became a dictator because Andrew Holness is telling you that there's rule of law and you must obey it. See? Now, DJ Chromas and Daddy Strength, I soon I don't know once I complete my monologue. See? Yes, Patterson, I see you, big up yourself. Donald, big up yourself. Marco Polo, Rupert. You see me, I say Davis, Cheryl, Easy Morris, big up on yourself, you know. And big up all like PNP, them I love my channel where always up on the For You page. You know, can't come in, man. Come in. And all the while running in well Philippian there, so now get pegged for no say nothing when no say. But you can't come in, man. See? Now, today we are go back in our history to show the people them where PNPism start. See? Hold on, let me find the video, give me a second. So we're gonna take you back in our time. Christy, big up yourself. Father Classic, big up yourself as well. I see you. See? You know, one night time when I start on a program, then I'm tired. Yesterday I'm up on the road almost all day. See? My channel start grow again. So I guess I saw it go sometime, growth slow down. And then there's another time when it pick up. That's my YouTube channel I am alluding to. For all who don't know. And all who still not following me on YouTube, please go and follow me on YouTube. See, when I hear me guys, tell me if you hear me. Mic check. 1 2. I mean 1 few to a PNP number. Tell me if you hear me.
Yeah, they're good. Yeah, they're good, man.
Hey Kizzy, what happened? What happened? You text along this morning. I'm not seeing your time slot. Don't ramp with the program in a Kizzy. Alright, you now hear me. Alright, let me add them, Philippe. And then we're going to play the audio. Today we want to go back in our history because we are teaching you them. Alright, you ready?
Yeah, man. Blessed morning, everybody, man. Bless.
Give me a chance and better must come, better will come. And so they bought it.
Michael Manley swept to power and became the country's 5th Prime Minister. He was following in the footsteps of his father, but had his own vision for the future of Jamaica. His would be a socialist agenda, grounded in a new sense of nation and based on its African heritage and black pride. In the early 1970s, he gave land to the farmers, created jobs for the poorest working class women, and most importantly, provided free education, not just for the privileged, but for every child. Under Manley, Jamaicans would be in charge of their own destiny.
This government has started a program of change, the like of which has never been seen in Jamaica. Young people were getting education at last. For years, women in this country never knew their own children. Because of the long hours, by the time they could get home, the children had to be asleep in bed. And nobody cared. And this government cared because of democratic socialism.
He just bucked the system. He just went in there and picked up Jamaica by the roots and turned it upside down. That's what independence was about. You were a Jamaican. It didn't matter who was married or not married. You were a Jamaican. You were a member of that family. That was who you were. You had rights. I remember a woman saying it for the first time. I felt like I was walking in my own shoes. And that was...
No man, you have to listen to the narrative in a Kizzy, because guess what? One time shit hit the fan, we are going to say a bullshit. They did attack. So you have to listen to the narrative.
When we got the gift of Jamaican independence, not with the flying of the flag.
The social reforms of the 1970s in giving the Jamaican a sense of his own worth and dignity were huge. Much of that legislation was in the most advanced in the world of its time.
Camanus Estate, where the lands as far as the eye could see, was owned by a single white family. Such privilege was commonplace. Manley wanted radical social reforms to favour the poor. Members of his own class were nervous.
For the other Jamaica, the Jamaica of the wealthy and of the upper middle classes and the rich, things were quite all right, thank you. They'd done very well in the 1960s, in the sort of last hurrah of the post-war economic boom. And why should it change?
A country like Jamaica cannot become a just society if you don't redistribute some of the wealth and some of the benefits. And we have begun that process of redistribution.
That was one of the things we disagreed on because for that.
Had always been his hero, so in a way it was.
And then me guys, the video glitch. See?
Joe was staying just outside of Ocherius, and he asked Michael to come down and see him. And Michael talked to me about that, and I said, but I don't understand why you're a prime minister. Why are you going down there to see him? And he said, because he asked me to come down and see him. I said, you're a prime minister. He comes to see you at Jamaica House. And then Kissinger came in and saw him at Jamaica House.
Kissinger asked Manley to condemn Castro's decision to send troops into Angola to fight South African-backed forces. Manley refused, showing solidarity with Castro and his utter contempt for apartheid.
Kissinger doesn't come down here and, stick his finger in Manley's face. He box his finger out of your face. That is almost a national cultural reaction to it. I say give thanks to the fact that Manley stood up to Kissinger despite everything else. Sometimes in history, you have to do that, and he did.
Now there are certain people in the world who say now, why are we taking this risk to anger the United States of America? And the answer is this: we are not angering the United States of America, they are angering themselves. They are not going to tell me what relationship I have with Fidel Castro. We have that friendship with Cuba as part of a world alliance of third world nations that are fighting for justice for poor people in the world. And I tell you as the party leader, as long as this party is in power, we intend to walk through the world on our feet and not on our knees.
We paid for it, we paid for it dearly in terms of aid. But Michael was very clear that, it's certain things you just had to take a stand on. Very firm on that.
At home, Manley's socialist dream had become a middle-class nightmare. If you don't like it, Manley told them, there are 5 flights a day to Miami. In the months that followed, thousands took his advice. Planes were packed with Jamaica's middle classes, taking their money with them.
When the first serious attempt at change was made, as always happens, there's a sort of almost like a shockwave that goes through the people who are better off and who have never really questioned the nature of the society under them. And so you did have a very real and regrettable reaction to some aspects of change.
Most of these were of the entrepreneurial class. So we had the horrendous picture of the country sliding into 8 years of negative growth, record high inflation, record high unemployment.
With the wealthy leaving in droves and US aid cut from $13 million to a mere $4, Manley was in deep trouble. What he saw was an American conspiracy to bring him down.
Let me tell you how destabilization works. They will go in, the secret group that is trying to mash up the country will go in among the youth and find one that look like a leader. And they call him one side and they say, hey brother, we drop you $1,000 on the side if you get the boys tomorrow night to go down across the road and carry out a raid. But him don't know that it is a destabilization agent that has paid somebody to come among him and sell the idea of starting a bit of a street fight.
Rumours were rife of covert US operations on the island, aiming to make the country impossible to run and dangerous to visit.
It would be known that some famous syndicated columnist of the United States was going to come to spend a week resting in some villa. And mysteriously, the first night he's there, gunmen would arrive and start firing guns round and round his villa. Nobody would be hurt. By the next morning, he's in a state of terror. He flies home, and 79 newspapers across America read the story of the violent, terrible society disintegrating with gunmen the next morning. So you get the next few thousand tourist cancellation.
Suddenly guns were everywhere. Michael's allies saw this as proof of a CIA plot.
It was designed to remove the Manley government because he was too friendly with Cuba. We had to fight the good fight because that was what life was about, to resist these sort of overwhelming diktats as to how we should live.
On Edward Seaga's second visit to a polling booth in downtown Kingston, a gun battle broke out.
We actually had to fight a civil war to save our country at that time. The militancy that Manley brought through socialism made it now something that wasn't around the corner and behind the scenes, but right out in the open.
Whereas before there was coexistence, there was rivalry. I'm a JLP man, I'm a Labour right. I'm a PNP man, I'm a comrade. And you know, my party better than yours or whatever. But it didn't come to people killing each other. As it got hardened, it came to that.
The gangs of Tivoli and Trenchtown helped themselves to the imported weaponry. Rival politics had become sectarian, with daily battles between PNP and JLP supporters. Shootouts left hundreds dead and others caught in the crossfire.
We were actually pinned down in a particular area for 2.5 hours this morning, while nothing less than 2,000 rounds of ammunition were fired.
We cannot and will not stand by and allow this sabotage of our country to continue. The Cabinet has accordingly advised the Governor General to act and proclaim a state of public emergency.
When they called the state of emergency, they locked up all the frontline leadership of the Jamaica Labour Party, the frontline workers. I was one of those who was locked up. I was detained for 7 months, kept in indefinite detention, no charge.
Other move the world for Michael Manley, for the people's man. Yeah. Him see the people, him see the struggle of the people. Go off fight the last man. Go off for the people, all the while. Don't put on people. Go off for the people, all the way.
Says the Rasta put up in and miss it too for the leg job both relax.
Michael had enough grassroots support to win the 1976 election, but the crisis still deepened. Foreign businesses found more friendly places to invest their money.
They frightened away every foreign investor that we had, and a lot of local investors at the same time, because they were threatened. They were told that they were not the sort of people that were not wanted here, that Jamaica was going to be a socialist country, and that the capitalist was no longer welcome. America was called a wicked imperialist capitalist nation and exploiter, and the whole ambience of the place was very frightening to any kind of investment.
Of greater concern, the urban poor were losing patience. Michael Manley had no choice but to bow to US pressure as his socialist dream of a free, equal, independent Jamaica crumbled before his eyes. He went to the World Bank and effectively handed over the running of the country to the IMF. Jamaica's future would now...
When I hear that, Hugh Richard and all of them said Michael Manley never go to IMF. Let me play the part there again.
Free, equal, independent Jamaica crumbled before his eyes. He went to the World Bank and effectively handed over the running of the country to the IMF. Jamaica's future...
Mike, check, when I hear. Tell me if I hear what that when just say.
Yeah, man. Here, man.
would now be in the hands of foreigners.
He was, sort of proud person who felt that although your country was small, that you had rights like everybody else. And I think he realized the extent to which these rights were going to be withdrawn.
Less than 20 years of independence had brought the island back to financial slavery. The IMF loan of 29 million was not enough and came with strings attached, which put an end to social reforms and led to shortages.
We can't get oil, we can't get detergent, we can't get flour, we can't get rice. Everything on a whole you can't get.
When I hear that, the PNP then say, Papa Eddie did make them hungry, and Papa Eddie did a married pad with sardine. So tell me if I hear that.
Yes, man, may I listen clearly, may I hear it.
For some crazy reason, I chose to have a baby in that 1980 election year. And he was premature. He was in the hospital for about 3 weeks in the intensive care unit at the hospital for premature babies. And I was able to interact with working class mothers on a day-to-day basis. They'd all come, we'd all come to visit baby and our babies, and we'd talk. And one of the things we talked about was the shortage of foodstuff.
I saw people who were willing to die just to free Jamaica at that time because the people felt that they were in bondage. There are people who left Jamaica who died abroad, very, very unhappy and very sad. There are people who still live abroad who swear they'd never come back to Jamaica because it was such a bad experience for them. It was the downfall. I'm telling you, it was a period where people hated him. They really hated him.
Seaga. 800 people died in the run-up to the bloody 1980 election. Manley was on the ropes. In a bitter contest, he finally conceded to his rival, Edward Seaga.
Had he not conceded, Jamaica's future today would have been completely different. For one thing, the United States would have overtly entered Jamaica, I'm almost certain. We would have a completely different history. The fact that he conceded allowed him to come again to fight another day.
America breathed a sigh of relief as Edward Seaga put the ghost of socialism to rest.
There was just $11 million in the Bank of Jamaica, and we took over. We wanted, first of all, to restore...
You hear how much money in the Bank of Jamaica when they took over? $11 million. And I believe that is Jamaica. See? My goal in making somebody talk about me a socialist. You know, see what socialism do to Jamaica? This is essentially PNPism.
Before you play anymore, Jojan, beg a minute, please. What I look back at to see, Jojan, is first of all, before the 72 election, Jamaica was such a peaceful place, you know. You know that under the stewardship of the then Prime Minister in the 60s, Jamaica was a peaceful place, was growing, everybody was okay. I mean, things was happening for Jamaica. Jamaica was on a path where, you know what I mean, for the betterment of the country. And then, you know, when you look at Michael Manley and the 70s, you would have realized that, I mean, it was, you know, the man just robbed Jamaica, he just robbed the whole future of the country. He robbed the future of the people. And he was so out of order. To say anyone five flight a day, choose one. I mean, it was reckless, you know. Them statements, they're reckless for a leader, you know.
I'm ego
because you want to have your own agenda, brother.
I'm ego strength.
Your own agenda.
You can't be so selfish. Let me tell you something. When you're going to make a decision as a father, because the Prime Minister is the father of the nation. So when you're going to make a decision as a father, you must look in yourself and say, boy, if I take the decision, how it going to affect my woman? How it going to affect my pitney them? See? You must take a step back and look selfish. And you hear Mark Golding come about him as socialist and him going to bring back socialism. You don't see where that do to Jamaica? Today we are still in debt because
The cut out DUJON. Morning, everybody.
But have been burnt by Manley without traditional partners.
For some people, it was like heaven and earth. Things had gone back to normal. All this talk about change and about blackness and about better and so on was eliminated, and we were back to the 60s where we should always have been. Money would flow from the United States, investment would flow, and life would be as it should be.
The US lavished over $200 million of aid on...
I go send it and give Philip here. I don't know how you get the DJ Potter because anytime I see them sitting here, I always download them and keep them on my phone because sometimes, especially when it come down to election time, and we are look for them to make people hear, for all of a sudden they're missing. And then when election done, we just see them appear back. So we have to keep them. So I don't know how you get it, but I send it and give Philip here.
Seaga's government. With this new investment, business began to flourish.
In the 80s, the atmosphere was more pro-business, and consequently had a lot of remigration. People coming back home, business people, some professionals. But I think what...
I want to listen how closely this era in the 80s is matching this era now in the 2020s. Now listen.
What is really important is that there's very, very much a good atmosphere of encouraging foreign investment. It's stable. The people that you can work with available.
Butch Stewart became a successful entrepreneur in tourism, pioneering the Sandals Resort and later taking over the national airline. But his homegrown success was exceptional. Most of the new businesses which sprung up in Jamaica were owned by foreigners. Multinationals flooded in. Brands and chains began to dominate the place. The land of jerk chicken was sold the Kentucky dream.
Mr. Seaga was a fantastic salesman. He had the respect internationally. And so he was able to convince the private sector, both locally and overseas, to invest in Jamaica. He had programs, he had good policies.
On the same tarmac that Fidel had once embraced his comrade Michael Manley, Ronald Reagan heralded a new alliance between Jamaica and Washington.
The success of our venture depends on cooperation. And cooperation is easier between friends who share the same ideals.
The Reagan administration had an excellent relationship with Mr. Seaga, with Jamaica.
Thank you all very much.
It was a wonderful feeling because to me, it made the statement that yes, Jamaica had once again arrived. We had once again been accepted into the international arena. And we got a lot of assistance through that administration.
Despite generous aid, Seaga failed to grow the economy or develop new industry. In 1989, a reformed Michael Manley was returned to power, but now his revolutionary zeal was gone.
I am a much wiser and more experienced man. So I don't know if that's new, but you know, we all have to grow, we all have to develop. I think I have.
the broad majority of people who voted for him expected that he would resume the policies of social reform which had begun in the 1970s and were sorely disappointed when they were very different.
Listen to this now. Michael Manley basically plagiarized Edward Seaga work and carried on in the 90s, but just because they never know what they do, by 92 they fuck up back the country. See? Now I want to listen closely because Mark Golding now have no plan for Jamaica. So all we am going to do now, if he should gain power, is we try and continue to copycat the policies of Andrew Holness. But Mark Golding not going to know what to do either. So should he return to power, PNP, Jamaica will be fucked again, right up the rear end.
My Highland don't salute.
Michael no longer had the stomach for the fight. His second coming lasted just 3 years. The 5-time married Michael faced a more personal battle that none of his turbulent years in power could prepare him for. He discovered he was dying of cancer.
He had this enormous fear of death. And I would say right up until his last breath, he would have done anything to live.
Michael Manley died aged 72 in March 1997. Thousands mourned the man they called Joshua.
The person who received the greatest, overwhelmingly greatest applause at the funeral was Fidel Castro. The slogan which one person uttered at the funeral, that Fidel is the only surviving Don, meaning Michael was a Don. That despite your complete dominance of the world, that there is somebody who can thumb their nose at you.
Yeah, PNP then thing. And I man funeral. They must say Fidel like oil last standing Dana in funeral, then say that Michael Manley funeral. PNP people, they are born with no ambition. They don't have nothing about them. This is why you hear Hugh Richard yesterday, the Wayne them program I talk about only way to fix Jamaica is if you allow Dan to run place. You see all of them, I try to blood clot me around Jamaica. Because I help on social media. So me hear that a prison camp for all of them, man. That me I tell you.
We were just so thrilled because we knew how much it would mean to Daddy and how right it was that he had stood by Fidel no matter the price he paid, and that in death Fidel had come to say goodbye. That meant a lot to us.
Highland don't salute. Please don't salute.
He was criticized a lot by his own social class who felt he had betrayed them, and he used to really take it to heart. I think when I look back on it, he just longed to be loved again by his own class, by, people he grew up with, his friends. He had the love of the masses. But I think he was always deeply hurt that his own social class couldn't see what it was he was trying to do.
After Michael died, Jamaica finally elected a leader that didn't come from the brown or mixed classes. Prime Minister P.J. Patterson represents a new strata of Jamaican society which is just finding its feet.
That was another disaster in itself.
Which is just finding its feet.
There's a new middle class in Jamaica, which is a direct product of this tremendous social movement which took place in the 1970s, which got opportunities because of Manley's regime, who came up through the ranks, who managed to get an education through the free education programs under Michael and university education too, and who took over.
The darker skin.
I'm talk about the PJ them now. And he Jezebel them, and he Christy them, and he Pantan them, and he all oligarch them, and them the kind of people that them talk about now. Oh, you see we have problem with today. All of go to law school and them not journalists and this. The Cliff Hughes and all of them. Cause nobody feel like say, me feel like Cliff and no labor right Cliff boy. You might enough of them over NNN. Oh.
Jamaican has become more confident and has become more domineering and will not put up with a lot of what would take place in the earlier days.
The experience of the Jamaican people has been exceptionally rich. Experience in terms of oppression, experience in terms of reform, experience in terms of culture, in sport, broadly, highly experienced people. And therefore, we are now on the verge of that experience being brought to bear on the direction of the country.
Jamaicans essentially are people who want their freedom and they want to retain their freedom and they will die fighting for their freedom.
From the university to the sports field, great men and women in arts, education and politics have their roots here. A small island of some 2.5 million people has made a big impact overseas. Like many with roots in Jamaica, I find myself wondering though, what would have happened if Manley's vision had succeeded? Would he have made Jamaica a beacon to other post-colonial societies and the envy of the Caribbean?
Well, but I like to see the brother, you know, I ask him if he see what I go on in Cuba and how he feel about the statement there when he just make. But anyway, guys, the floor is open now. We can start a steady discussion. We're going to start from the top, come down. So, come in, Father Rickster.
Morning, everyone. Why? Some of that at first, may I hear some I me hear already. But me glad him dead. Me glad him sick when him sick. You see me? Probably if him never sick at the time, him whole ideology wouldn't change. You see me? But to that, when we get at the whole story there, the whole intervention of America and this and that and how them try to make it seem as if it was a bad thing and it worked out in the best way for Jamaica, you know.
You know why? Because remember, you know, so in the same time America invade, I think Grenada, you know.
Yeah,
so any other climb down there that invade and take over Jamaica too.
Yeah, man, it worked out in the best way for everyone. Because with a stuff like Cuba, enough of we couldn't let Jamaica go no foreign country because and like Cuba we can still go in America. We are stuck down at that.
Philippian, last night when I come on for a live scene, I'm telling you so I go watch something. You know what I go watch? I go watch my news clippings. The Cuban government is now begging Mexico, Venezuela, and
begging people.
No, them a beg them for oil for help them country run. Them a fi beg them send them must 1 million barrels.
I mean, some of you lock off like 14 hours a day or something like so. Some ridiculous number.
Partner them like Venezuela and some other country now help them.
Them not have light and water.
They not even have food to eat. People them are run.
So we want to know, yeah? Why take out of them for just say, all right, America, we're tired now. Please take our foot out of our neck. We are gonna behave. They not decide to both. They not decide to both for them people.
Them not have to do that more than them say, all right, listen.
I have a democratic process. Start run an election and make people choose who they want.
Yeah. And if I even that and then they rig the system and win back.
Yeah, but yeah, just change up something, man. Make some change.
Morning, guys.
May I tell you, people wicked.
You know what this bring me to DUJON'S? Sorry again, the people. You know what this bring me to is in relation to that of Mr. Seaga. You know, Mr. Seaga, you know, to me is like a Moses. You remember when in the time of the children of Israel, you know, when
right,
Moses was
born, you remember when like we did it. I Bible we hear it.
You know, so when Moses is born, it was the Egyptian that saw him in a little boat, you know, in a basket that sailed along the river. So when you look at the way in which Mr. Seaga came back to Jamaica, first of all, he was born in America, and then now he returned to Jamaica by way of his parents, right? He grew up see it fit in an adult state to say, look here, I can bear allegiance to two flags. That not look justifiable. So he give up the American, and then he maintain his loyalty to Jamaica. And you know, when you look at how Mr. Seaga really go about the whole thing, you know, having that American connection and looking at the fact that Jamaica, the vision that the then Prime Minister had, which was Michael Manley, was going to flush Jamaica down the toilet. That was where it was heading, you know. You understand me? Because there's no way in my mind you're going to see a country prospering, right? In the 60s. And then in the 70s, so many crime, and the man just introduced everything bad in the country. You know, everything bad was introduced. The seed of wickedness, the seed of crime, the seed of everything that is dangerous to our unhealthy to our country, to an economy was introduced, was planted by Mr. Michael Manley, you know? And people hug him up and run with this and say, boy, this man is a god. And let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you, it's when Michael Manley took sick, he was supposed to go down.
That is true. Make a piece right there. Morning, people. Alright, you know, say even that. That's me a piece all the while. I see him interview thing there. I see him tape there. Alright, you know, it's nothing there. It's going to get me get ignorant more in a bridge. Sure. It don't make me feel, actually never know. Right now, listen to me, man. Yes, Michael Manley, man. I always start this in a bridge. That man should PNP party for that which never exists. That's the worst thing ever happened to Jamaica. That telling you that bridge. Him should never exist. And the wickedest thing ever happened to Jamaica. You see me? Michael Manley, bridging. That man is that's what me. He's a man, he's a youth, you know. He's a man that have a certain humbleness in me. That's people with ego. I don't like people with ego and selfishness. That's what Michael Manley is, in ego. And the biggest con man Jamaica ever see. That man. You see me? Cause you can't give your ass and shit to your ribs. Or you forget, or as the DUJON'S said earlier on, or you have a country a run. Eh? Your family, like what DUJON'S said, put in other terms there. Your wife and your picnic them. And you know, consider them just as self-centered. You see, you know, the man say, the man self-centered, the man not afraid for dead. He not do anything for live. For sure, the man a devil. Eh? If you are good, somebody are humbleness when dead come bridging. You just live out your time and know that a part of the road.
Who are the boy coward?
Dead. Eh? Evil people them dead. I tell you, man. I truly never know. Remember when I talk about it, I don't get ignorant now, man, in a bridging. Just listen to it. I truly never know.
I can't know, so I hate him go, you know. Yeah, like atrocity the way he commit. He knows I hate him go. And can't miss him. So that's why I never want dead.
Look, you know, I speak to a lots of Cuban. I speak to a lots of Cuban. We have a whole Cuban friend. And even a teacher, 25 peso, 1 jug of milk, and 1 bread for the month. Can you live off of that?
PNPism, as when they call it, a slavery, brethren.
PNPism and a slavery.
Yo, PNPism are the best way the Prime Minister draft. And you do a chat about him and your PNPism. A slavery to control people like that. And for people to depend upon you. You know, have no form of independence. Because people are like independent mind thinking people. They like people to depend upon them and dictate.
My thing, guys, hold on the chef. My thing, guys, is that Manley should not have been returned to power in '89. When he was returned, he said that Jamaica will be moving forward under 3-pillar liberalization, deregulation, and something else. And the liberalization of the dollar is what caused us to have the meltdown, along with Omar Davis hiking up the interest rate. So he did a lot more damage when he was returned to power, right?
Philip, let me answer that way you don't. Finish talk, Steve.
he did a lot more damage when he was returned to power, and we're still feeling the brunt of it to this day. In the documentary, they're going to say Seaga did not grow the economy. And I'm not expect him to grow it so fast. Yeah, you need more time after what Manley did in the 70s and leaving only $11 million in the central bank. What you expect? Him couldn't...
That's not actually true, you know, Philippian. Because if you listen to the documentary where we used to listen back in the day, within 12 months of Seaga gaining power, Jamaica was back to growth. See?
Yeah, but you know, that man shouldn't have been returned. That night, your turn.
And Mr. Seaga, good morning, everybody. Good day. I'm not cutting you off, Oni. I'm just interjecting, okay? Mr. Seaga did an amazing job bringing back the country after Michael Manley. You heard it in the thing. So there must have been growth comparing to what he left. But the thing is, Michael Manley saw that he was defeated, and this selfishness that he wanted to rule over Jamaica and do as him please, right? And he made a decision based on friendship with Fidel for the entire country, which was the wrong thing to do, right? So him go back in him drawing board and him come out back with him good looks and him charisma and in beautiful speaking, and the people fall for it. So this is why now today we are telling and pleading and beseeching to young people, pay attention to history. No, Mark Golding might not sexy and charismatic, but him have the money and him have the power with the people behind him who them aligned in the various committees all over in a civil society to do the speaking for him. So a lot of persons, the young people, might think, oh, make we go try and make we see. Them PNP promise better must come already and better still never come. What we are seeing is since Andrew Michael Holness there at the head of the table with this JLP led administration that him have, right? So we don't want nobody come think say we just are we Jamaicans, me myself, I don't want the third term just because I am a Labourite. I don't want the third term just because I feel like, oh, a sports day, I want my side to win. No, I want the third term because this is the best, most stable government Jamaica's ever seen in the last couple of years since 2016, right? Bruce Golding started it and they did their corruption and push him out, right? And Portia come back and we never see where we say same way. And the people say they wanted a change and they bring a young man, and we are seeing it. We are seeing it. Infrastructure. I think maybe under Shearer there was a lot of infrastructural development, but other than that period of time, this is the most. I wake up this morning and I'm scrolling through Twitter and I'm seeing a lot of young people very excited for their $20,000 cash tax return. Right? Do we never have that? All the years when the world was doing well.
Kizzy, let me say something. Let me say something towards Michael Manley. Let me say something to the end when Michael Manley returned. And if I understand, say Michael Manley returned, in the last part, so at the same America Democrats, them not to the Republican Democrats in a part. That's not like Democrats, Be one about the ones. But join with that with Kizzy. I never vote Democrat. Listen to me, I say. You see the Democrats them in a down at the last part of the 80s there, and them in that fight because them couldn't get Seaga for certain things. Them do a rare, and at them brush off Mike and Manley. You see me? And them help, but him directly get help from America. You matter about Seaga, FBI, and CIA, him definitely get help from America in the late 1980s. You see me? The Democrats them and bring him in back, Mike and Manley. You see me? Because they couldn't get to use Edward Seaga there so in them time there. So the Democrats them I just show at them come back in a power. The Republican more the Reagan come out them time there. You see it?
But Democratic
Yes.
different now, you know.
So that me what I'm just finished. I'm just land there. That's why me are telling us say America I just to the liberal, the more liberal party, Democrats them work with the PNP them for ever since. You see me?
No man, they're different.
With the socialists.
They're
No,
different.
different. Nothing more different. Because more liberal. Because they support everything that is bad. Nothing more different. Because I'm liberal like them. They support everything. Batman, Satan is everything you can think of. Democrat support. As bad as the Republican, I'm not with a Republican right now. Neither the Tea Party, much of the Republican Party. Them not so liberal with Batman and the Satanism thing like Democrats then. And the same sex all kind of foolishness. Them is that. Nobody can tell me that the PNP stand for fish people over PNP. That's why them as a bag of fish people are following them for ever since.
No.
You see me? So nobody not tell me nothing. That's, me and no PNP not for the the same line. We're not Democrats. That's why I'm not join up with Democrat. I'm gonna follow American politics. So when I tell about Michael Manley now, and this so them give they might the same Democrat in America brush up Michael Manley and make him come back in our power and help him and talk about democratic. Him done with it now and done with the bush jacket and start with a 3-piece suit. At them time the Michael Manley start with a suit, 89, Because when I youth I pay bush jacket, idiot PNP them is so weird. They don't have nothing to do with the Western world and Western nothing. And the capitalist nothing.
They're still out here, They still have here because obviously Peter Phillips still out here doing something there. But I want to tell you this, my friend, before me even get to that too. I am looking back at the recovery of the 80s when Mr. Seaga began to introduce again in the society, in the country, international and foreign and local investors begin to flood back Jamaica, right? I remember one of my experience is in the political scene. I sat with, I'm gonna call him name. I sat with Michael Leachin, right? And at his house, in a gazebo, sit with him, have drink with him, and the man share with me personally when he was one of those people that took one of those 5 flights a day and went away. When Mr. Seaga opened up back the economy and investors begin to come in, he told me that he came back to Jamaica and started his business in Portland. You get me? He started back his business in Portland. He outlined a number of things to me. And let me tell you something, man. Me shed tears when me hear the man talk, brother. That's why I'm telling us, me can't. Yo, me hate PNP, buddy. Me hate PNP, brother. For what they do. Then look what they do with the people them in a FinSac again, man. And people still are run behind them, brethren. And so we so naive and so gullible and so blind that we
in a FinSac so they target mostly labor right with banks and so people
of course
are associated. A wickedness that sister them really wanted to turn Jamaica in a one-party state, a communist state.
But that's what they say, not say control Jamaica.
Even
BK don't concept PNP for run Jamaica for 100 years straight.
Right, and there was an interview with when Mutty Perkins and PG, and he was like, you've been in office now for such and such years, and he was like, well, I wish it was like him wish him never lose power, but that's how the political process is. Yeah, they wanted Jamaica to be a one-party state.
The PNP, I don't matter about democratic. The PNP don't believe that democratic system, no time at all. Dictatorship, they believe in that.
Just like,
yes,
that's what I was going to say. They believe in a Castro-ism.
Give Dark Knight a talk there, please.
Oh yeah, morning, everybody.
Yeah, blessed.
Oh yeah, well, to be honest with you, if you think about it logically, and we talk about theoretically, socialism work. Yeah, whether they accept it or not, it work in theory. where you know, say you have a big pot where the wall we pay in, and then we pay you back according to your needs or equally among each and every one of us. So in theory that works, right? But in
some social programs, some social programs might work to have a balance.
Yeah, but in theory it work. You understand what I say to you? So, but the reality is the Manley type of socialism never worked. You know why? Because them did evil with it. Evil and did evil. And them want... Hold on, let me come corner.
Chef William, please you can mute when you are, if you're not speaking.
Right now, even with our government right now, with Andrew Wallis government, right now, we have some social program we are going to have to balance out. I don't know where socialism can work, because socialism have to balance out.
Yeah.
Yes, we have to have social programs.
But a total socialist, a total social state is totally different from social programs.
Right.
Yes, the program we have to work with.
I don't know if anyone, yesterday evening, I was scrolling past and I stopped by Mark, that is a PNP platform, you know. Stop by. And you know why me enter into the platform? Because when me hear the man start to class our prime minister to say he is a thief and he is a this and that, me say no man, me go request and go in another platform, you know. When me go up in the platform, this little one with him Cosmoto, him come up in the platform now. I begin to outline to them, say, look, the mistake that the PNP continue to make is that when they have their programs and policies implemented, it cannot be sustained. They does not have the funds to sustain it. And he begin to tell me individualistically of some of the programs and ask and saying to me, isn't these programs still around now? And I said, yes, but they were not sustainable under a PNP government. And I begin to share with them now, right? The things that make it unsustainable. Because first of all, if it was sustainable, why is it that you have to freeze public sector wages to fulfill a demand? Eh? Why you have to do that? That means the country is not running properly. Nothing is sustainable.
You have to have good economics for the social programs. You have to have good economics for the social programs.
Right. You definitely have to balance the books with the economy.
You have to balance the
being
book.
good.
For any program to be sustainable, the book have to be balanced.
Right.
Not because you institute a program as part, and you are now going to say that part is continuing. No, it does not necessarily mean that when under a PNP government, it was sustainable. And also it mean, because you're looking
after part about that is strange. Part never did that work. Part never did that work for the benefit of the people and the children, like when it during the PNP. No, because since this government it a benefit even people who really need it. Because then do a packy up a comrade and it turn feeding tree to the and turn a tax burden to the tax paying people in the country.
Yes.
But that is strange to see that the boy they will look like him miss no time coffin. Where you see you no figure on them platform. Because you can't teach them nothing. Make them continue well in their ignorance.
Ask me if me know the meaning of sustain. If me know the meaning of sustain.
Friends, that man no bright, none at all, you know. I tell you that, you know, none at all. They don't know what them say. I caution and train them.
At the bottom dregs that
you can't go over them like them, man.
You can't go
Who's that train them? They caution have sense. They caution have sense.
That's what I say. They not have sense because caution and train them.
Biggest idiot, man. Biggest PNP clown that.
No matter what them say.
Teach nobody nothing.
Him not attract nobody we have sense. Cause me seeing live all the while. At the bottom of dregs that is strength. When you see them, they have to click black.
Why, may I tell you?